Marley was dead, to begin with. There's no doubt whatsoever about that. The register on his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. Scrooge and Marley were partners for I don't know how many years. Ah, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, was Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. And once upon a time, of all good days in the year, on Christmas Eve,
Get away with you and stop begging on this corner.
We aren't begging, sir. We are bringing Christmas cheer.
Humbug!
Sorry, sir. A Merry Christmas, sir.
God rest you, merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember
Bah, humbug!
our Savior was born on Christmas Day.
old Scrooge sat busy in his counting-house, a grim, cheerless place if ever there was one. The door of Scrooge's counting-house was open, that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, Bob Cratchit, who, in a cold and dismal little cell beyond, worked at his ledgers.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!
Bah! Humbug!
Christmas a humbug, Uncle? Well, you don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Out upon Merry Christmas! What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. A time for balancing your books and having every one item in 'em through a round dozen of months presented dead against you. If I had my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart, he should.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it, but you don't keep it.
Let me leave it alone, then. Much good it has ever done you.
There are many things from which I might have derived good by which I have not profited, I dare say, Christmas among the rest. But I'm sure I have always thought of Christmas time when it has come around, apart from the veneration due to its sacred origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open up their shut-up hearts freely, and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow travellers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good, and will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
Let me hear another sound from you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
But don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow.
No.
But why?
Why? Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love. Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel to which I've been a party, but I've made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humour to the last. So, A Merry Christmas, Uncle,
Good afternoon.
and a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon. Cratchit, there's someone at the door. Go on, see who it is.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the firm of Scrooge and Marley.
Yes, sir.
I should like to see the head of the firm, if I may.
What is it?
Very good, sir.
Hmm?
A gentleman to see you, Mr. Scrooge.
Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Molly's been dead these 7 years tonight. I'm Scrooge.
Well now, Mr. Scrooge, at this season of the year, it's only fitting that we who are more fortunate should raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. You may not believe it, sir, but many thousands are now in want of common necessities, and hundreds of thousands are in want of the simplest comforts.
Are there no prisons?
Well, there are plenty of prisons, sir.
And the workhouses? They're still in operation, I trust.
I wish I could say they are not, but they are, sir.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor, then?
Both very busy, sir.
Ah, I'm glad to hear that. I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course.
No, sir. All these institutions that you mention are flourishing, but it's nevertheless true that some additional provision for the poor and the destitute must be made. A few of us, upon change, are endeavoring to raise such a fund, you see, and, what shall I put you down for, sir?
Nothing.
Oh, I see. You wish to remain anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. I don't make merry myself at Christmas time, and I can't afford to help make a lot of idle people merry. I hope to support the establishments that take care of the poor. They cost enough. Let those who are badly off go there.
Many can't go there, sir, and many would rather die.
Then my advice to them is to do so and decrease the surplus population. Besides, I've only your word for it that all this is so.
It's the truth, Mr. Scrooge.
Well, so be it then. It's not my business. It's enough for a man to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, sir.
I quite understand, Mr. Scrooge. Good afternoon.
Cratchit, show this gentleman out. Cratchit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's too late to have you go to Pothingel's. You'll be closed up for Christmas like those other fools. We may as well close up the place now.
Yes, sir. It is getting a little dark. Hard to see the figures.
I suppose you'll want the entire day off tomorrow?
If it is quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient. And it's not fair either. But I suppose I can't do anything about it, eh? If I was to stop 1/2 a crown of your wages, you'd think yourself very ill-used, I'll be bound.
Well, sir,
Yes, but you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
It's the family, sir. They put the heart into it. As it were, sir, only once a year,
Once a year, indeed. A fine excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. As it were, sir. But I suppose there's no good talking. You must have the whole day. Well, see that you're here all the earlier the next morning, you understand?
I will, sir. I will indeed. Good night, sir, and a Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas. You, a clerk on 15 shillings a week, with a wife and a family, talking about a Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam.
The office was closed in a twinkling, and Bob Cratchit, with the long ends of his white comforter dangling below his waist, for he boasted no great coat, went down a slide on Cornhill 20 times in honour of it being Christmas Eve, and then he ran home to Camden Town, as hard as he could pelt, to play with his family at Blind Man's Bluff. Scrooge, on the other hand, took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, having read all the newspapers and spent the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went to his dismal house. Darkness was cheap, and Scrooge liked it. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, had to grope with his hands through the fog and the frost to find the door. Scrooge walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Sitting-room, bedroom, lumber-room, all as they should be. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa, nobody under the bed, and nobody in the closet. Closed the door. He locked himself in. He double-locked himself in. He took off his cravat, put on his dressing-gown and slippers and his nightcap, and sat down before the fire for his gruel.
Scrooge! A humbug! I won't believe it.
Scrooge!
How's this? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
All right. Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
I don't believe it.
What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You might be an undigested bit of beef, a bit of mustard, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you. Whatever you are.
Man of worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. Well, why have you come to me?
It is required of every man that his spirit should walk abroad amongst his fellow men and travel far and wide. And if that spirit does not go forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death, and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared and turned to happiness.
You are fettered. Tell me why.
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link, yard by yard, and wore it of my own free will. Is the pattern strange to you? Or would you know the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was as long and heavy as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain.
Oh, mercy, mercy.
I have none to give. I have little time. I cannot rest. I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole. Oh, not to know that any Christian spirit working kindly in its little sphere will find its mortal life so too short for its vast means of usefulness. Not to know that no space of regret can make amends for one life's opportunity misused. Yet such was I. Oh, such was I.
You were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business? Humankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealing of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. Oh, why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to the blessed star which led the wise men to the poor abode? Were there no poor homes to which its light would have conducted me? Hear me. My time is nearly done.
I will, Jacob. But don't be hard on me.
I'm here to warn you that you have a chance of escaping my fate, a chance I have procured for you, Ebenezer.
You always were a good friend. Thank ye.
You will be visited by 3 spirits.
Is that the chance you mentioned?
It is.
Oh, well, then I think I'd rather not.
Without their visit, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1.
Can't they all come at once? Have it over with, Jacob.
Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third upon the next night when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and for your sake, take care that you remember what has passed between us.
Humba.
And so Scrooge lay in his bed and thought, and thought, and thought it over, and could make nothing of it. The more he thought, the more perplexed he was, and the more he endeavored not to think, the more he thought. Marley's spirit bothered him exceedingly. Every time he resolved within himself that it was all a dream, his mind flew back again, like a strong spring released to its first position, presented the same problem, all to be worked through.
Are you the spirit, sir, whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past. The things that you will see with me are shadows of the things that have been. They will have no consciousness of us. Rise and walk with me.
I am a mortal, and I'm liable to fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand there, and you shall be upheld in more than this.
Why, I was apprenticed here. Why, it's old Fezziwig! Bless his heart! It's Fezziwig alive again!
A small matter to make these silly folks so full of gratitude. You spent but a few pounds of your mortal money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so much that he deserves this praise?
It isn't that, spirit. He has the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. And say that his power lies in words and looks and things so slight and insignificant that it is impossible to add and count 'em up. What then? The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
It matters little. To you, very little, I know that.
Belle, have I changed towards you?
When we were engaged, we were both poor.
Was it better then? Better to be poor?
Better at least to be happy. You're changed. You were another man then.
I was a boy! You blame me because I've grown wiser? Have I ever tried to break our engagement?
In words, no, never.
In what then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, in everything that made my love of any value in your sight. So I release you from your promise.
Belle!
Oh, at first it may cause you pain to lose me, a very brief pain, but soon it will be dim, like a half-remembered dream, an unprofitable dream, and you will be glad to be awake from such a dream. May you be happy in the life you have chosen, Ebenezer, for the love of whom you once loved.
I shall, and may you be happy with yours.
I told you these were shadows of things that have been, that they are what they are. Do not blame me.
Come in, come in, and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You have never seen the like of me before.
Never.
Have never walked forth with the younger members of my family, meaning my elder brothers born in these later years.
Have you had many brothers, Spirit?
More than 1,800.
A tremendous family to provide for. Spirit, conduct me where you will. If you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe.
What has ever got your precious father then? And your brother, Tiny Tim? And Martha weren't as late last Christmas Day by half an hour.
Here's Martha, Mother. Here's Martha. Hurrah!
There's such a goose, Martha. Why, bless your heart alive, my dear. How late you are.
We'd a deal of work to finish up last night and to clear away this morning, Mother.
Well, never mind, so long as you are come. Sit you down before the fire, my dear, and have a warm. Lord bless you.
A Merry Christmas to us all, my
Father!
dears. God bless us. A toast, my dears. I give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
Dear, Christmas Day.
It should be Christmas Day, I am sure, on which one drinks the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know he is, Robert. Nobody knows it better than you do, poor fella.
Christmas Day.
I'll drink his health for your sake and the day's, not for his. Long life to him, a Merry Christmas and an Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
Merry
Christmas.
And God bless us, everyone.
Spirit, I have seen enough. Tiny Tim, will he live?
He is very ill. Even song cannot keep him whole through a cold winter.
But you haven't told me.
If he'd be like to die, he'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Erase, Scrooge, those words from your thoughts. You're not the judge. Do not judge them. It may be that in the sight of heaven you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's child. Oh, God, to hear an insect on a leaf pronouncing that there is too much life among hid-hungry brothers in the dust. Look upon these children, whom are thin and sickly. Look!
Are these the spirits sent to me?
They are no spirits. They are real. The boy is ignorance, and this girl is want. Beware them both. They walk your streets. They look to you for comfort, and you deny them. Heed my warning, Scrooge. They will grow and multiply, and they will not remain children forever.
Have they no place to go? No resource for help?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Are there no prisons?
Are there no workhouses? Houses, 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 houses.
Scrooge looked about him for the ghost. It had vanished, and he found himself once more in his bed, in his dressing gown, and his nightcap on his head. He heard the clock strike, and then he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and lifting up his eyes, he beheld a third spirit, a solemn phantom, shrouded in black, draped and hooded, coming toward him, slowly and silently, like a mist along the ground.
I know you. You are the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You'll show me the shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in time before us. Answer me, spirit, ghost of the future. I fear you more than any spectre I've seen, yet I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope, to live to be another man from what I was. Lead on. The night's waning fast, and time is precious. Where are you taking me here? Here, on a common street, spirit? What is there for me to learn here? Who are those men?
Well, I don't know much about it either way. I only know that he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
That's likely to be a very cheap funeral. Upon my life, I don't know anyone who would go to it. Well, suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going, if lunch is provided.
Come to think of it, I'll bet I was its best friend.
What?
We used to nod to each other when we met in the street.
You couldn't have met in a better place. You were made free of it long ago, you know, and the other two ain't strangers. What have you got to sell? What have you got to sell?
Half a minute's patience, Joe, and you shall see.
What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did. Who's the worse for the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
Yeah, if he'd want to keep him after he was dead, wicked old screw. Why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? Ha! If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying gasping out his last there alone by himself.
It's the truest word that ever was spoke. It's a judgment on
I wish it
him.
had been a little heavier judgment, and it should have been. You may depend upon it. Oh, if I could have laid my hands on anything else. Open that bundle, Joe, and let me know the value of it. Speak out plain. I'm not afraid to be the first, nor afraid for them to see it.
What do you call this? Bed curtains? Ah, bed curtains! Don't drop that oil upon the blankets now.
Who else do you think? He isn't likely to take cold without 'em, I dare say. Ah, you may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted it by dressing him up in it if it hadn't been for me.
You were born to make a fortune, ma'am. You certainly were.
Spirit, help me. What is this man that died? Is there no one to mourn this poor creature? No one to follow him to the grave? Perhaps they'll give him a green grave at least, like poor Tiny Tim. Perhaps. Spirit, where are we now? Merciful heaven, a churchyard overrun by grass and weeds, choked with too much burying, desolate, lonely, crumbling gravestones. Spirit, before I draw near to that gravestone, answer me one question. Are these shadows of things that will be? Or are they shadows of things that may be only? Will you not speak to me? Spirit, what is that grave to which you point? Now I see it. There's writing on that stone. The name on the gravestone is Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, no, Spirit. No. Hear me. I'm not the man I was. Why show me this if I have past all hope? Tell me that I can change these dreadful shadows. You've shown me by an altered life I'll honor Christmas. In my heart, I'll try to keep it all the year. I'll live in the past, the present, and the future, and I'll not shut out the lessons that they teach. Tell me, Spirit, oh, go on, tell me that I can sponge away the writing on that stone, Spirit. I beg you, Spirit. I beg you. Spirit, I promise on my knees. I promise. What's this? It's my own drape. Oh, I'm home. In my own bed. In my own room. What's today?
Eh?
What's today, my fine fella?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day.
Christmas Day! I haven't missed it. Hello! Do you know the poulterers in the next street? But one.
I should hope I did.
An intelligent boy. A remarkable boy. Do you know whether they sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there?
What, the one as big as me?
Delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging there now.
It is. Go and buy it.
Walker?
No. I am in earnest. Go and buy it, and tell him to bring it here, that I may give them direction where to take it. Come back with the man, and I will give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes, and I will give you half a crown.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more, and to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, a town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see his alteration in him, but his own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived in that respect upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards, and it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone.